Have you ever noticed how life can feel like one long waiting game? We wait for the right job to come. We wait for the right person to appear. We wait for the right amount of money, the right opportunity, the right sign from the universe. And while we wait, time ticks on. Days bleed into weeks, weeks into months, and sometimes even years, until a quiet question begins to echo inside us. Why hasn't it happened yet? What am I doing wrong? This question, this ache, is the doorway to today's teaching. Because what if I told you that you are not actually waiting for anything? What if the version of you who already has what you desire already exists? What if the life you dream about has already been written in a parallel line of time, and the only thing separating you from it is your own state of consciousness? This is what it means to collapse time, not to rush, not to force, not to beg the universe for speed, but to step into the version of yourself where the waiting is already over, where the chapter you've been longing for is not in the future, but right here, right now. Slight tonal shift, deep reflective. We've been taught since childhood to think of time as a straight line. We measure our lives in years, birthdays, deadlines. We celebrate progress step by step, school, job, relationships, milestones. But this straight line thinking has a hidden cost. It convinces us that everything we want is far away. It makes us feel like reality is a treadmill, always just a little out of reach, no matter how fast we run. And when we don't see results fast enough, we fall into self-doubt. I'm not ready yet. I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's not meant for me. Have you felt this? That heavy ache of waiting for life to finally catch up with your dreams? If so, I want you to take a deep breath, because you are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply perceiving through the lens of linear time, a lens that was never the whole truth. Warm reassurance, drawing the audience closer. Quantum physics whispers a secret. Mystical traditions echo the same truth, that all versions of reality exist simultaneously. Every path, every possibility, every version of you. There is a reality where your dream is already fulfilled. There is a version of you already living in that state. And the bridge between where you stand and where they are is not measured in years. It is measured in awareness. It is measured in vibration. It is measured in consciousness. This is the secret to collapsing time. Stepping beyond the old story of waiting and embodying the truth that it's already done. Emotional hook. Painting a vision. Imagine, just for a moment, waking up tomorrow and no longer feeling the weight of waiting. Imagine rising in the morning and knowing deep in your bones that the thing you've been chasing is already here, already yours. How would your shoulders feel? How would your voice sound? How would you walk into the day if you knew the waiting was over? This isn't fantasy. This is alignment. This is the shift we are about to explore together. Setting up curiosity for the journey. In this video, I will guide you through why most people remain stuck in the illusion of linear time, what it actually means, on a quantum and spiritual level, to collapse time, and finally, the practices you can begin today to jump into the reality where it is already done. By the end of our journey, my intention is simple, that you will no longer carry the heaviness of waiting. Instead, you will walk with the lightness of knowing that you are already aligned with the reality you desire. Closing the intro with a reflective, poetic note. So take a deep breath. Relax your body. Let your heart open just a little wider, because this isn't just another self-help idea. This is a shift in the way you see time, in the way you see yourself, in the way you see the universe itself. You are about to remember something ancient, something powerful, that the future you are chasing is not ahead of you. It is already here, waiting for you to collapse the distance between who you've been and who you truly are. So here we are. We began with the heaviness of waiting, with the ache of wondering why life feels delayed. We walked through the old paradigm of linear time, where everything is always tomorrow and never today. We opened the doorway to the quantum leap, where collapsing time means stepping into the version of reality that is already alive. And then we practiced clarity, embodiment, release, anchoring, learning how to bring the already done frequency into daily life. But now comes the most important part, living it, because collapsing time isn't a single moment, It's a way of being. It's a choice you return to again and again, until it becomes natural. Every morning when you wake up, you are given two identities to choose from: the waiting self or the collapsed self. The waiting self opens their eyes and says, "One day maybe it will happen." The collapsed self opens their eyes and says, "It is already done." That single choice sets the vibration for the day. Living as the collapsed self doesn't mean pretending that life is perfect. It doesn't mean denying challenges. It means moving through challenges with a deeper knowing that the reality you desire is not ahead of you. It is within you. It means carrying yourself with the posture, the voice, the energy of someone who has already arrived. And when you do this, something beautiful happens. Life begins to reflect your state back to you. Opportunities show up, synchronicities align. People sense something different in your energy. But even before the external world shifts, you already feel lighter. You already feel whole. That in itself is the miracle. So as you step out of this teaching and back into your daily life, I invite you to hold this simple mantra close to your heart. It's already done. Whisper it when doubt arises. Breathe it when impatience knocks. Let it become the rhythm of your being. Because each time you return to that knowing, you collapse time again and again. And one day, without realizing exactly when it happened, you'll look around and see yourself living the reality you once dreamed of. Not because you chased it endlessly, but because you chose to embody it until reality had no choice but to align. This is the art of collapsing time. This is the freedom of the collapsed self. And this is the reminder you came here to receive. You are not separate from your desires. You are not waiting. You are not behind. You are already it, already whole, already living in the reality where it is done. So take a breath, smile softly, and walk forward, not as the one who is waiting but as the one who has already arrived, because you have. For as long as we can remember, we've been trained to think of life as a straight road. Step by step, mile by mile, we are told to walk forward patiently. We're told, work hard now, and eventually it will pay off. We're told, be patient, because good things take time. And while there is wisdom in patience, there is also a hidden prison in this way of thinking. Because what happens when we convince ourselves that everything is always ahead? What happens when happiness, love, success, and fulfillment are always a little further down the road? We end up living in a cycle of waiting. We wait for Friday. We wait for a new year. We wait for the big break. We wait for someone to love us, to notice us, to choose us. Life becomes a waiting room, and time becomes a gatekeeper that never fully opens. Think about the old paradigm most of us grew up in. The belief that things must follow a rigid sequence. First you prepare, then you earn, then you deserve. And maybe if you're lucky, life will reward you. Society told us go to school, get a job, work for decades, retire, and then finally, enjoy the fruits of your labor. The spiritual version of this belief says keep healing, keep fixing yourself, keep waiting until you're ready, and then the universe will deliver. But do you notice the common thread? Both insist that fulfillment is always later. Both make you believe you are not enough right now. This linear way of thinking is comforting on the surface. It feels organized, predictable, safe. But under the surface it traps you in a story of delay. If you're always looking forward, you are rarely grounded in the now. And if you're not in the now, you can't step into the reality where your desires already live. Let's make this even more personal. Maybe you've wanted financial freedom, and so you tell yourself, if I work just a little harder, save just a little more, one day I'll get there. Or perhaps it's love. You believe that once you fix yourself, once you look a little better, once you heal every wound, then the right partner will appear. Or maybe it's health. You think that only after months of discipline, years of struggle, will you finally feel vibrant. Can you see how the linear story always keeps the prize just out of reach? It whispers, not yet, not yet, not yet. And here's the deeper cost. When you live inside this old paradigm, you also begin to define yourself by what is missing. If your dream is in the future, then right now you are incomplete. If love is waiting to arrive, then right now you must be unworthy. If abundance is coming someday, then today you are still lacking. This identity of not enough yet becomes the vibration you live in. And according to the quantum laws of reality, Vibration is everything. Have you ever noticed how waiting becomes a habit? You wait for the right mood to start a project. You wait for the right inspiration to take action. You wait for external signs before trusting yourself. In truth, waiting isn't just about time. It's about fear. Fear that maybe you don't deserve it yet. Fear that maybe the universe has forgotten you. Fear that maybe your dream will never arrive. This is the silent weight of the old paradigm. It convinces you that life is always tomorrow, never today. But let me tell you something important. Time itself is not your enemy. The ticking clock on the wall, the days turning into nights, they are neutral. What keeps you bound is the belief that you must move, step by step, painfully slow, before you are allowed to live fully. That belief is the invisible chain of lineage. This is why so many seekers, even after years of spiritual practice, still feel stuck. They meditate, they journal, they affirm. But underneath they are still waiting, waiting for a sign. Waiting for proof, waiting for life to change before they allow themselves to feel different. They live in a reality where the future is always better than the present. And as long as the future holds all the power, the present feels powerless. Yet think about this. Have you ever had a moment where time seemed to dissolve? Maybe you were so lost in joy, in love, or in flow, that the hours disappeared. Or maybe something entered your life unexpectedly, an opportunity, a connection, a blessing, that felt like it skipped the line of time. Those moments are glimpses beyond the old paradigm. They show us that life is not bound to a slow, rigid march forward. They hint at another truth, that multiple possibilities are already present, and alignment, not time, is what opens the door. The old paradigm would have you believe that life is a staircase, one exhausting step at a time. But in truth, life is more like an elevator. You can choose to step into a higher floor instantly. The only thing that decides whether you stay stuck on the ground floor or rise to the level of your desire is the story you believe. So before we move deeper into the mystery of collapsing time, we must recognize the weight we've been carrying. The old self, bound to the clock. The old self, always chasing. The old self, convinced that what is sacred and beautiful is always later. This awareness is the first step, because once you see the prison, you can begin to step out of it. In this moment, right now, ask yourself, how much of my life has been lived in waiting? How often have I defined myself by what I don't yet have? How many times have I postponed joy until something external finally shifted? The truth may sting, but it is also liberating. Because if waiting is only a story, then waiting can be dissolved. If time is only a lens, then time can be collapsed. The old paradigm has done its job. It has shown you contrast. It has shown you what it feels like to live bound by delay. And now, as we move forward, you are ready to taste the opposite, the freedom of realizing that your desires are not far away. They are already here, in another layer of reality, waiting for you to step into them. The linear story ends here. The quantum story is about to begin. So now that we've uncovered the old paradigm of linear time, let's take a deep breath together and step into the quantum lens. Because collapsing time isn't about rushing, and it isn't about forcing events to move faster. It's about realizing that the version of reality you're waiting for already exists, and you can step into it now. This is where the leap happens. Not a slow climb, not another waiting room, but a direct shift of consciousness into the reality where your desire is already done. Think of reality like a vast hallway filled with infinite doors. Each door leads to a different version of you. Behind one door is the you who struggles endlessly, waiting for change. Behind another is the you who has already found love. Another door holds the you who is financially free. Another the you who is radiant with health and confidence. Every possibility you can imagine is already here, existing in parallel. You are not trying to build those realities from scratch. You are simply choosing which door to open with your awareness. When people talk about collapsing time, this is what they mean. Stepping out of the old hallway of waiting and realizing that the destination already exists in another room. The key isn't time. The key is alignment. And here's the quantum truth that science quietly reveals. The observer changes. The observed reality does not exist as fixed until consciousness interacts with it. In other words, the moment you embody a state of being, the moment you live as if it is already done, you begin to tune yourself to the version of reality where that truth is already alive. Let's break this down more gently. In the old paradigm, you say, one day I will be abundant, and so you wait. You send the signal that abundance is somewhere far away. But in the quantum paradigm, you say, I am abundant now. My abundance is already here. And you feel the state of it, breathe it, walk with it. Suddenly, you collapse the distance. You no longer project abundance into the future. You live as the version of you who already carries it. This is why spiritual masters throughout history have repeated the same principle: become the energy now. Pray as though it is already answered. Act as though it is already here. Be the vibration, and reality must follow. But let's make this real, because I know it can sound abstract. Imagine two people. The first wants love but feels lonely every day. They keep affirming, one day someone will come. One day I will be chosen. Their vibration is built on lack, on waiting. Now imagine another person who desires love but chooses to live as though love is already present. They treat themselves with kindness. They radiate joy. They walk into rooms with the energy of someone who is already loved. Which person do you think collapses time? Which one tunes into the version of reality where love is already waiting at the door? This is the heart of the quantum leap. It's not about waiting for external proof before you change. It's about changing first and letting reality match you. And here's the beautiful paradox: when you collapse time, you don't actually bring the future into the present. You simply step into the version of the present where that reality already exists. That's why it feels so magical, so effortless. One moment you're waiting, the next moment you're living it. And often when you look back, you can't even explain how it happened. It feels as though life simply rearranged itself overnight. Have you ever had déjà vu? That uncanny sense that you've already lived a moment before? What if that sensation is not an accident, but a glimpse of you touching another timeline, another version of reality that already exists? Collapsing time works in a similar way. You are not creating something new, you are remembering what is already done. And perhaps the most empowering part is this: collapsing time doesn't require perfection. You don't have to be enlightened. You don't have to meditate for 10 hours a day. You don't have to fix every flaw. You only need one thing: your choice to embody the frequency of the reality you desire. Even if you flip, even if you wobble, every time you return to that frequency, you strengthen the bridge. Let's bring in another metaphor. Picture a radio. Right now, countless stations are broadcasting at once: jazz, pop, news, classical. You can't hear them all, but they're all there right now, filling the air around you. The only reason you hear one and not the others is because of what you tune into. Reality works the same way. Every version of you is broadcasting. Which one will you tune into? The one that is waiting, or the one that is already free? This is why collapsing time can feel like a miracle. You can wake up one day and feel different. Opportunities can arrive out of nowhere. Synchronicities begin to stack up, pointing you toward the version of reality you've chosen. The world hasn't suddenly sped up. It has simply rearranged around the frequency you now carry. And here is where contrast becomes so powerful. Think about how the old paradigm felt: heavy, slow, filled with waiting and self-doubt. Now compare it to this paradigm: light, immediate, already done. The difference is not in how much time has passed. The difference is in who you have decided to be. This is the invitation of collapsing time: to step beyond the identity of the waiting self and to embody the identity of the collapsed self. The waiting self lives in the story of someday. The collapsed self lives in the truth of already. The waiting self says, I will. The collapsed self says, I am. Which identity will you choose? Because every time you choose, you leap. So as we move forward into the practices, remember this: collapsing time is not about escaping your current reality. It's about embodying the reality that already exists. It's about realizing you are the doorway, not the prisoner. You are the chooser, not the one chosen by fate. And when you make that shift, life begins to feel different. You wake up in the morning with a quiet knowing. It's already done. And from that knowing, everything you desire begins to align with ease. This is the quantum leap. This is collapsing time.
Up until now, We've been exploring the philosophy, the contrast between the old paradigm of waiting and the quantum leap of collapsing time. But philosophy alone is not enough. At some point, the seeker asks, how do I actually live this? How do I collapse time in my own life? This is where practice begins, not in abstract theories, but in the gentle daily choices that shift your state of being. Remember, you are not trying to force a future to come faster. You are aligning with the version of yourself who already has it. Every practice I'm about to share is simply a way of stepping into that frequency. The first step is clarity. Ask yourself, what is the reality I want to embody? Many people stay vague. They say, I want abundance, or I want love, but they never clarify what that actually feels like. Clarity doesn't mean obsessing over every detail. It means choosing a state. Is it freedom? Is it love? Is it confidence? Is it creativity? Don't just describe what you want in words. Close your eyes and feel it. If it's love, how would your chest feel in the presence of that love? If it's abundance, how would your body move through the day if you knew you were supported? Clarity is not a mental checklist, it's an energetic signature. The second step is embodiment. Once you sense the energy of the reality you desire, begin to live as though it is already here. This is where collapsing time happens most powerfully. Ask yourself, if it were already done, how would I think? How would I speak? How would I carry myself? And then practice living that version today. You don't need to wait for external proof, you become the proof. Imagine someone who desires confidence. In the old paradigm, they wait until they succeed before they feel confident. In the collapsed paradigm, they choose to embody confidence now, and the external success follows naturally. The third step is release. This may sound paradoxical, but it's crucial. Once you've clarified and embodied the state, you must release attachment to when and how it arrives, because the moment you obsess over time, you step back into the old paradigm of waiting. Release is an act of trust. It says, I know it is already done, and I don't need to control the details. Think of a seed planted in the soil. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. The same is true here. You plant the vibration, you water it with embodiment, and then you release it to unfold in its own elegant way. The fourth step is anchoring. This is where daily rituals help stabilize the frequency. Collapsing time isn't about one big moment of alignment, it's about consistently returning to the new state until it becomes natural. Anchoring can take many forms: meditation, visualization, journaling, breathwork, or simply pausing to ask, if it's already done, how do I show up right now? Some people like to visualize walking through a doorway into the reality where their desire is already true. Others rehearse the emotions of gratitude as though their dream has already manifested. The form doesn't matter, what matters is the consistency of returning to the already done state. Let's make this practical, with an example. Suppose you want to shift into the reality of financial abundance. Each morning, instead of waking up and worrying about bills, you begin the day by breathing into the feeling of being supported. You visualize opening your bank account and smiling with gratitude. You carry yourself throughout the day with the posture of someone who knows they are cared for by life. When doubt creeps in, you gently remind yourself, I choose to return to the frequency where it's already done. Over time, this becomes less of a practice and more of a way of being. Or imagine someone desiring love. Instead of waiting for a partner to arrive, they begin to embody love now. They treat themselves with tenderness. They cultivate joy in small moments. They radiate warmth in conversations, not because they are trying to attract someone, but because they are already living as the loved version of themselves. Before long, life mirrors that state back to them in surprising, effortless ways. One of the most powerful tools for this process is something I call emotional rehearsal. Just as athletes rehearse their movements before stepping onto the field, you can rehearse the emotions of the collapsed self. Each day, spend a few minutes closing your eyes, imagining the version of you who already lives in your desired reality. What do they feel? How do they move? What thoughts run through their mind? Breathe into those feelings until they feel natural. This isn't about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about tuning into the frequency that already exists. And here's the beautiful part: you don't have to maintain it perfectly. Alignment is not about perfection, it's about return. Every time you slip into doubt, you simply notice and return to the already done state. Each return strengthens the pathway, like carving a deeper groove into reality. Over time, it becomes second nature. Now let's address a common fear. Some people worry, what if I imagine it, feel it, and nothing happens? This is where patience and surrender come in. Collapsing time is not about controlling outcomes, it's about becoming the version of you who naturally lives them. Sometimes the external reality shifts instantly, sometimes gradually, but the internal shift always comes first. And once you embody it, the external world has no choice but to catch up. To make this easier, anchor small practices into your daily rhythm. In the morning, ask yourself, if it's already done, how would I live today? During the day, pause and breathe the state back into your body. At night, fall asleep rehearsing the feelings of the collapsed self. These micro moments build momentum, and remember, collapsing time isn't just about manifesting things, it's about becoming free from the prison of waiting. It's about reclaiming your power as the chooser of your state. When you live from the already done frequency, even before the external shifts arrive, you feel lighter, freer, and more whole. That shift itself is the miracle. So this is the practice: clarity, embodiment, release, anchoring. It's simple, but it's profound. And the more you live it, the more natural it becomes. You stop asking, when will it come, and start living as though it's already here. And in that shift, the doors of reality begin to open with effortless synchronicity. This is how you jump to the reality where it's already done, not by waiting, not by forcing, but by choosing to embody it now.